Adelaide, for your discussion on presenting evidence. Today we've talked about various things that are important for us in persuading our audience. We've talked about inoculating them, stating the problem, talked about the evidence, statistics, and examples that will help them to change. I would like to talk about presenting possible solutions to these problems. It's very important for us as we discuss this topic of presenting solution, because after this, Kelly will mention about calling to action, which is the most important part of all of this, is helping them to make a change. So what we need to understand is our audience. So there are some key things that we need to remember as we're preparing to speak, and as we're preparing to speak, and as we're speaking to the audience. First of all, it is very important that we understand the situation that our audience is in. We need to make sure that we know what they're going through. That way we'll be able to provide a sensible solution to the problems that they're facing. Also, it is very important for us to do our background research. We need to know whether these are students. We need to know whether they're employers, whether they are student athletes, or whether they're employees. This will change the different types of solutions to the various problems. I'd like to use an example that is given by Adelaide for a way that we shouldn't talk to our audience, or a way that we should avoid offending them.
I'm so glad to be here in Japan. Ni hao. The Korean food has been great. The kimchi, the egg rolls, that rice is great.
So, as we view that example, we know that that was very offensive, and that it'll take out your credibility and any persuasion that you had on your audience. So things to remember. Remember the culture and the background of your audience with whom you're speaking. Also, try to avoid any offensive language or any things that would offend their culture. And just remember to be considerate of those you are around. Surprisingly, human beings are actually more emotional than logical. So, knowing that human beings are more emotional as to logical, it is important to understand that we like to make the changes when we know that it's our own idea, as opposed to other people telling us to change. How many of us remember those times when our parents asked us to do something? It was a lot more difficult as to when we are self-motivated. As we're talking to our audience, we should talk to them as if we were a championship football coach talking to his team. I'd like to use something called emotional coaching as an important way to show how we can be effective problem solvers in persuading our audience to make a change. With emotional coaching, you take your audience's problem, which we have talked about, the problem, and you use that to build off motivation and power. Use that to build a synergy within the audience. So emotional coaching doesn't entail the speaker trying to solve the problem for the audience. He talks with the audience. He writes down possible solutions. He allows the audience to come up with their own solution to their problem. Because if we remember, we are more motivated to do something when we know it's our own idea, when actually the emotional coach is helping them create the problem, or helping them create the solution to their problem. So emotional coaching is something that we can use, and it gets us very well set up for a call of action. So after